Welcome back to the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2018 season. It's time for the third round, and for the first time ever, VGP is on American soil at the legendary Laguna Seca circuit in California for the third round this year. My name is Justin, and joining me once again in the commentary box, it's Chris.
Always happy to be back here for VGP. We are indeed going to the legendary Laguna Seca for the incredibly trying but wonderful to watch and wonderful to drive Laguna Seca on American soil.
And this is how the standings are looking, with Michael Schmidl scoring 51 points out of a possible 52. He's 20 points ahead of Dolezal and just 1 point between Dolezal and Blazek, with Polesny not that far behind either. So those three very tight in the standings.
Indeed, with Stefanko, Sikora and Honzik not too far away either. Schlebeck is still chasing the tail there. Kostalik and Prohaska were level on points as well, so still all to play for in this season.
And those are the prizes, as we just saw. First place gets the one-year rental of a brand new Mercedes-Benz A-Class, which personally I would love to drive. Second place gets the AMG Driving Academy Performance Training and Advanced Training, which provides improved driving and racing skills under supervision of professional instructors. Third place is going to be the AMG Driving Academy Performance Training. Again, second place gets Performance and Advanced. Third place just gets Performance Training, and that's for mastering driving dynamics and car control for critical situations. Now we're going to take a quick look at a comparison of the season of 2017 for Michael Blazek compared to 2018. And as you can see, the more red there is, the better he's doing in this season. And it is very, very red. As you can see, 2 podiums after just 2 races. And top 5, he's got 2 of those and only 1 from last season. And after 2 races, he has 30 points this year, only 18 points last year. Now looking on the other side of things, looking at Martin Stefanko, your 2017 Virtual GP champion, had 2 podiums at this stage last year, 0 so far this year. You can see the circles are very silver, which means this year is not going the way Martin Stefanko would have liked. Just 1 top 5 so far, and just 14 points after 2 races.
And the driver of the day, as voted by the public, is Thomas Prohaska for the Vodafone team, and it was not difficult to see why with his impressive performance at Macau. There they are, all 12 drivers with us today. So here are the qualifying standings then for Laguna Seca. By 0.02 of a second, Stefanko is behind Michael Schmidl, so Stefanko's starting to really get into his stride. Then Blazek just 0.3 down, Dolezal very hot on his heels, Schlebeck and Polesny very close together on row 3, Sikora and Kostalik, Honzik and Prohaska down there 9th and 10th, and Zubek and Lucas round out the 12 that we have ready for today.
Yeah, and I would say Zubek and Honzik definitely out of position in 9th and 11th. They're going to be the ones to watch, but it is Michael Schmidl and Martin Stefanko who start on the front row of the grid here in Laguna Seca. Very, very close, as Chris said, in qualifying just 2/1000 as the 6 lights come on now as we prepare to go racing for the first time ever on U.S. soil. And there we go, the V8s are off, and it looks like a good start from Michael Blazek, actually. He's going to have the inside line on Martin Stefanko, and in fact, it looks like Dolezal as well trying to follow him through, follow that Legion car through, and see if he can also pick up a position. Oh, and that's Prohaska, I think, in the... No, that's actually the Lynx car, actually. It's gone spinning right around, way down at the back, and that is Sikora, I believe. Schmidl holds on to the lead. Blazek up into second position. Stefanko down to third, coming under pressure from Dolezal as well. And again, we already have 1 car down, so that is very disappointing. He's got to be very upset about that one, I am sure. Oh, gosh, and that is actually the blue car running out wide as well. I don't know if that was Slebitz or I'm not sure, but Stefanko holding on to that third place position, but he's already down 1. Oh, no, and that's, I think that's Polesny. No, that's Yep.
Zubek in the second plus car bounced off one of it. That's such a shame. Oh no, it's Dolezal, I beg your pardon. It's bounced off of one of his competitors and really put him out of position. Stefanko has already lost the position from his start as Michael Blasek then has shot through into second position as they now come through. Oh no, there is Prohaska, driver of the day from Macau. He's almost beached it there at the Corkscrew, and he's really struggling to get that car back underway. He is that just goes to show how difficult this circuit is. There's so much undulation changing, and the G-forces really hit the cars very, very hard. It's so easy just to get unsettled. And already this many issues that we've had, and you know, we didn't see this many issues this early in Macau, and we know how twisty that was. So obviously the big issue that threw the safety car out, but that's quite a few cars that are now slightly out of position. Oh goodness me, Lucas is having a pretty decent start so far. Ooh, and well held then by Zubek. Oh, just as I say that, the two cars come together, and Robin Lucas trying his best in the Sandisk car to keep that ever-charging Avast Gaming car behind him, and again he has to jump very hard to the inside of turn 4 to keep that charging Dolezal behind him. Now jumping up to Stefanko, he is trying to get that second place back from the Legion car. I've Michael Blasek now coming through turn 6. He's going to have a look through turn 7 and 8, the preceding corner and the Corkscrew. Big heavy brakes there, but look at the gap that Blasek managed to open up just on that run up to the Corkscrew.
Yeah, that's incredible stuff, and really disappointing for Dolezal. Again, he is actually third in the championship right now after scoring 4th, 2nd, and 5th so far in this season. He now finds himself way down in 10th position, just ahead of Prohaska and Sikora. And again, Prohaska was driver of the day, as you mentioned, Chris, in Macau. Robin Lucas, though, coming under attack from Peter Zubek, who again is pretty far down. Hanzik, meanwhile, has made up positions in all of this. Oh, are they going to go 3 wide? The Avast car goes up the inside on Robin Lucas. He goes out into the dirt. That's going to lose him a position to Dolezal as well. And Robin Lucas has dropped right down, and that's going to be very disappointing for him in the Sandisk car. I'm sure he's gonna. Oh, and then Zubek and Dolezal going side by side into turn 2. Inside line for Zubek. The Seiko Plus car around the outside. Can he hold it? He dips a wheel into the dirt. He's gonna try one up the inside through this right-hander now, but no, can't quite pull alongside the Avast car. Will he try anything through this fast right-hander? It's a very short run to the next corner. No, he's not able to pull alongside for the next corner, so Peter Zubek will hold on to that 8th place position for the meantime, but a big old gap ahead to Hanzik. So really the field is shockingly spread out already at this stage of the race. We've barely done a lap or two, and already a big gap starting to form between 8th and 9th. Sikora as well, quite a ways off after that lap 1 incident, but he's not out of this just yet. If we get a full course yellow, of course, that will allow the cars to close up on one another. Meanwhile, up at the front, Stefanko still stuck behind Blasek. Hlebets as well in 4th position, not that far off. We did see him going off the circuit at one point, but he did manage to keep everything pointed in the right direction, keep going, and he will continue on in that 4th place position with a decent sized gap to Polesny down in 5th position. Kostulik up into 6th, doing well, and as we mentioned before, Hanzik now into 7th position. So here is Zubek and Dolezal once again still doing battle as they come out of the final corner on the run down towards the first corner. And let's see if Dolezal can do anything from the inside line for Zubek in that Avast car. And it looks like Dolezal is going to, in fact, try it around the outside, but no, can't quite keep alongside. He's going to try the switchback, though, see if he can get that inside line. No, it hasn't quite worked out for him through there. And again, I don't know if he's going to make the overtake into this right-hander or indeed the next one. Though neither of those right-handers are really overtaking locations, Chris.
No, not particularly, but goodness me, Zubek was not afraid to get his elbows out on poor Robin Lucas, who has now got Thomas Prohaska for company, as you can see behind them. And yet again, that Seiko Plus car of Peter Dolezal is determined to get past the Avast car of Peter Zubek. Yet again, Peter Zubek is really defending for everything he has possibly got. Now coming back up the hill once again, the next heavy braking zone is for the Corkscrew, and yet again out goes Dolezal. Can he do anything against Zubek? No. Again, well defended. Oh my goodness me, that looked like Robin Lucas. Yeah, it was flying too hard, and there he is. He's overshot the Corkscrew. He missed his braking point, and that has not gone well for him. He's still going, but that has of course allowed Thomas Prohaska through. And these two still fighting very, very hard. It does look like Dolezal has got the pace. He's now looking for an outside maneuver on that final turn. That's exactly where Zubek got his elbows out before. That's very brave. He's still there. What a turn of pace that Dolezal had. What a shame he had that early incident that put him right the way down the order. And what may have been for the second plus car. Now he's looking for the inside of turn one. Slight bit of contact between the two. Ooh. Oh, that's a much bigger impact as they come off of turn two. And that is Zubek through then into 8th position. Wow, goodness me.
Dolezal.
As Dolezal through, beg your pardon, that's into 8th position. So, wow, and now look already, he's starting to build a gap. He's not hanging around. He wants to get away from that Avast car, jumping up to the battle for 2nd position still. Stefanko chasing Blazek. Michael's middle is already over 2.5 seconds ahead of this particular pair. So once again, Schmidl is just really into his stride. Can the man be stopped?
Yeah, he's pulled out a significant gap, really, and after not that much racing. And I think Blazek as well is really helping Schmidl here, because if Stefanko's pace was, in fact, that close to Michael Schmidl, as we saw in qualifying, with just 2 1,000 separating them, then Blazek in between the two of them is going to be the most helpful thing that Schmidl can have at this moment. So that Legion car is probably Schmidl's best friend at this current moment as we start yet another lap and head down the hill. And I do hope we get an onboard at some point with that corkscrew, and that way all of the viewers can get a first-hand experience of just how easy it is to miss your braking point for the corkscrew, because Robin Lucas showing us exactly how easy it is. Thankfully, though, no major damage. He is able to continue on, and he's not that far off of the pack, so he can continue on. But again, these two up at the front, well, we're looking at the drivers on the left and right, but on the screen you're seeing the car of Michael Schmidl, again, our current championship leader with 51 points as it stands right now. Also, I did want to mention the battle between the Peters, as we saw Dolezal and Zubek, and that is important stuff for both of them. Dolezal is, again, in the top 3. I mean, he is a championship contender at this stage of the 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP season, whereas it's the exact opposite for Zubek. Zubek, who was so strong in 2017, only has 1 point to his name so far in this season, and it's just not gone the way that he wants it to. Here is Kostulik and Hanzik, actually. Kostulik up ahead in 6th, Hanzik down in 7th position. Really not that far off as they're making their way through the final couple of corners now to start a new lap. And let's see if that Thrustmaster car can get a good enough run out of that final corner to try and mount an attack on Martin Kostulik. There they go, and he's picking up the slipstream here. He's not quite alongside yet, though, which makes me think he's not going to make the overtake into turn 2. Turn 1, technically, is that very slight left-hander just after the start-finish line, and then you have this very long turn 2 in Andretti hairpin, where those guys are just coming out of now, and into the double right-handers of 3 and 4. Let's turn our focus now back to the rear of the grid, or the rear of the pack, where Sikora is going up the inside on Robin Lucas, and Lucas is just continuing to struggle. The Lynx car just finding that line up the inside of turn 2, makes the move on the Sandisk car, but here comes Sikora up the inside of the right-hander of turn 3. He'll also have the inside line for the next right-hander on board with Sikora now. Oh, can he make it work? No, it's looking like the outside line has actually worked for the Lynx car, but there comes the Sandisk car right through, carried more speed through the right-hander, but then the battle continues with the Lynx car trying one up the inside at the left-hander of turn 5. That's a difficult overtaking location, and it looks like Robin Lucas is going to come out on top in this battle for the meantime, but it does seem that Sikora is a little bit faster at the moment. I would say it's only a matter of time before the Lynx car gets by, but this is a very difficult track to overtake at. Oh, he's going to put one up the inside at the corkscrew with the inside line, but inside line for the second part of that chicane for Robin Lucas. Can the Sandisk car hold out around the right, hold out around the outside of that left-hander? Oh, no! Oh. Bit of a tank slapper, loses the grip at the rear end, and that is going to be Sikora up into P11. Robin Lucas now down to Stone Dead last, so you could see his reaction on the screen there. Just utter disappointment, Chris.
Absolutely, and what we're seeing is everyone's basically sharpened their robos and they're not afraid to use them. Goodness me, much more aggressive moves we're seeing this week than we saw last time out at Macau. And again, that's not entirely surprising, Macau being a street circuit. The barriers will not forgive you. There is space on the outside for mistakes to not bite the drivers, basically. Kostulik is doing his best to keep Jaroslav Honzik behind him, and that's what half a second looks like in these AMG Mercedes cars. And that's exactly what Stefenko and Blasek have between them as well. So that is probably not the view that Kosely would have wanted. Any of these drivers will, as much as they love to race, some of them just want a boring race. They don't want to have to constantly defend. And when you have someone as experienced as, well, indeed, experienced as any of these drivers, but Jaroslav Honzik in particular, it adds the pressure as you can see Kosely then coming through turn 10 in that Xiaomi Geek car, and in the background you saw Peter Dolezal, so he is getting interested in that particular battle. Speaking of the battle for second, it's Stefenko. He's had a run on Blasek in the leading car, but he's had to go too wide. He couldn't turn in. Well positioned then by Blasek to defend the inside line for turn 2.
Yep, it looks like this battle is going to be going on for a little while, and again, we haven't seen any pit stops, at least no planned pit stops for any of these drivers in the AMG GT3 cars, so yeah, I don't expect him to stop. There's really nothing that he can do as far as strategy is concerned, but that's what a lot of racers really like to see. They just want to see the overtake on track. I mean, that's where the excitement really happens, so, and that's exactly what you're going to get with these AMG GT3 cars. These Mercedes-Benz V8s are capable of putting out a lot of power, and making the overtake on track is always the more fun way of doing it. So Stefenko has a bit of a challenge, but also a bit of fun to look forward to. But as we've mentioned before, Michael Schmidl, all this while, is really just pulling away. Hlebet's still kind of lurking around in the background there as well in the Alza Gaming car, but he's not quite able to pressure these two. If they start going side by side a little bit more, then we could see him get involved. Lesney as well, really not that far off either, so he could get involved with this battle for P2. It's looking like Schmidl is going to run away with it, though, at the moment. He's looking unchallenged, looking very comfortable around this Laguna Seca circuit, and again, this is the first time that we've ever been here, and around the outside goes the Republic of Gamers car of Martin Stefenko, and again, it's just not quite worked out for him. It really seems that Andretti hairpin, the outside line, is just not very effective, Chris.
No, indeed. Michael Blasek is very, very good at getting the traction where he needs it to keep that Republic of Gamers car behind him. And all the while, that is allowing, there he is, it's Andrej Hlebets that is closing down on them, and he is going to be right with them, and not actually too far behind is Polesny. So this battle is going to get very long very soon if Stefenko can't break away from Blasek, or indeed other way around. So it is going to become very, very interesting to look on board with Hlebets. He has got his eyes on that prize very, very much. And when you're the chasing driver, it does spur you on. If you can see drivers battling, you know that they're being slowed down, so that will spur you on. Oh, side by side, that's Kosely and Honzik. Honzik's going to have the inside line of the Corkscrew if he can hold it. Can he get on the inside? He's positioned that Thrustmaster well. The Xiaomi Geek tried his best to defend, but Honzik has managed finally to get up into that sixth position. He'd been stuck behind that Xiaomi Geek car for quite some time, and there is Dolezal as well. He has managed to open up 7 seconds between himself and Zubek. Zubek actually has Prohaska for company as well, so that battle is well, it's not yet done, but is just completely changed hands. Now back up to Stefenko, trying his best to get past that Legion car. He's pretty fed up of being stuck behind it. Hlebets is closing in on them, less than 2 seconds. Polesny 2.5 seconds behind in 5th position as well. So that train is coming. Oh, again, you're starting to see the tails twitch on these cars. So we may well see some pit stops if they're burning the tyres out. It's quite early in the morning. It's about 9 AM at race time starts, so the track temperature isn't too high, but you are starting to see where the traction's just beginning to let go, and we've seen quite a few incidents already when the tyres are at their best. So when the tyres start to give up later on in the race, we could well see some more incidents coming.
Yeah, very surprising to see an overtake at the Corkscrew, because you carry so much speed through that left-hander of turn 6 before you head down towards the Corkscrew. It's such a high-speed corner that it's very rare for anybody to close up significantly between 6 and 7, but Honzik, again, showing that experience that he has. All of these guys are accomplished sim racers, but Jaroslav Honzik in particular really seems comfortable with this car. Maybe not to the point of Michael Blasek, though, as he continues to defend from the 2017 champion. Martin Stefenko is very aggressive and really keen to get by that Legion car up ahead, but it's just not worked out for him so far. You can see the gap, less than 2 tenths on the run through turn 1 and down towards turn 2. And again, the inside line for the Legion car is probably going to do well to hold that second place position. And here comes Chlebitz as well. He's even closer than he was before. And Polesny as well, really not far off in the distance in the Predator blue car as well. Meanwhile, the Predator red car continues to extend that gap up at the front, now over 6 seconds. But Chlebitz in the Alza Gaming car is going to be wondering what is going on here. How have I just closed up to Martin Stefanko so quickly? It was a 2-second gap not that long ago. Back on board with Dolezal, again, second in the championship right now with 31 points to Schmidl's 51, and he's only 1 point ahead of Blazek as well. So this is very important for him to get back up to the front and try and contend with those guys. I'm not sure what Dolezal is going to be able to do from P8 here. Again, he's second in the championship right now, and he wants to improve on that, but I just don't see how that's going to happen given his current position. The fire spitting out of those side exhausts as they head into the braking zone of the penultimate corner. Through the final corner they go, and this is an important one for Martin Stefanko. He wants to try and get a good run out of here, and then maybe see if he can get the inside line, because that seems to be the line that you want to try and make that overtake into the turn 2 hairpin. Through the start-finish line they go to start another lap, and the Republic of Gamers car looks to be a little bit too far back to make anything happen on this lap to my eye. And Chlebitz, though, thankfully for Stefanko, a little bit too far back to apply any pressure to the Republic of Gamers car. Meanwhile, Kostulik coming under heavy pressure from Dolezal. He's the Seiko Plus Gaming Seiko Plus car practically pushing that car through the corner. But Kostulik doing a good job of keeping him behind for the meantime. On board once again with Chlebitz now as we go through that left-hander. And this is, we're about to go through that left-hander I was talking about earlier, Chris. This is really a high-speed left-hander here. You are going to see them brake ever so slightly, and then it's just through the corner, throw it in, and then carry as much speed as you can, which is why I was so surprised to see Hanzik carry enough speed through that corner to go side by side with Kostulik into the corkscrew. Really not a move you see very often, and that might be the overtake of the day for me at the moment. And speaking of which, for the viewers, don't forget to vote for your driver of the day. If your driver of the day was Hanzik for making that overtake, then let us know. Also, we do have the prediction game. I'm not sure how many of you would have predicted Schmidl to win this, but I imagine you guys are pretty happy right now.
Yes, I'm sure he's enjoying having a fairly trouble-free run out the front. Then Dolezal on Subek. We've already seen how Dolezal has got his elbows out in that second class car. Couldn't quite get the move done. Kostulik is having to defend yet again, and already Hanzik has broken away by nearly 1.5 seconds over the Xiaomi Geek car. Now Dolezal having a look at the inside of turn 2, but that's well defended there by Kostulik. He's going to have to try again later on. Still plenty of time to go in the race, but as we've seen many, many times, if you give Michael Schmidl enough, well, any time at all, he will just run off into the distance. He gets to a point where he can ignore top gear and still come home in the front spot, but he now leads by 7 seconds plus. We have a 3-car train, Blazek, Stefanko and Chlebitz, and then there's this 3-car train of Hanzik, Kostulik and Dolezal. And Kostulik can't just focus on the car ahead, and you can see the effect that's having. He cannot keep up with Hanzik. He's having to defend too hard for the Seco Plus car behind. We've seen how Dolezal can get his elbows out, and Kostulik is trying his best to ensure that he doesn't have another opportunity to do so. Back up to the top 3. That's almost a 4-car train. Polesny is less than 2 seconds behind this particular pack as well. Yet again, Stefanko in that slipstream. He wants that inside line for turn 1. And again, he's just a little bit too far back. Yet again, Blazek getting amazing traction just where it counts. Stefanko is able to reel him in on the straighter sections, but Blazek just gets the traction exactly where he needs it to keep that Republic of Gamers car behind him.
Yeah, no super long straights here at Laguna Seca either, which is, it's almost like a desert Monaco. The corners just don't stop. The longest run you're going to have between corners is really on the run from 11 down towards turn 1 and 2 into that Andretti hairpin. And it's really not enough time for these cars. I don't even think they're approaching 300 kph. I think we were actually seeing higher speeds in Macau than we're seeing in Laguna Seca, because again, it is just relentless. Just 11 corners in here, but whoa, Kostulik a bit wide there. He's going to come under attack from Dolezal inside line. That's not really an overtaking corner. That's the one I was talking about. That's just before the corkscrew, and he's made it work though. The Seiko Plus car now up into P7. Kostulik down into P8 now, I believe. We're still waiting for that timing to update. There it is, as Kostulik gets dropped down into P8. Doing well in this race, although he has lost positions now to Hanzek and Dolezal. So it's not been the race that he wanted, but I mean, really just mixing it up with these guys is certainly an indication that your race is going well if you're even battling with Hanzek and Dolezal, because again, these are championship contenders for sure. Once again, he's going to try around the outside. Is Martin Stefanko? Can he make it work this time? It doesn't look like it. No, again, the Legion car just better on the traction coming out of that turn 2 hairpin and holds on to that second place position ahead of the Republic of Gamers car and 2017 champion Martin Stefanko, who again has not had a very good season so far. It is a 12 race season and this is round number 3, so still plenty of time to go. But again, it is a near perfect 51 points out of a possible 52 for Michael Schmidl so far in this 2018 season. And this is certainly going to help him. That gap now about 8 seconds between Blazek and Schmidl. So he's really started to extend that gap even further. And it's looking like he's maybe just very, very comfortable with this circuit. Maybe Schmidl was one of the guys that was championing to get this circuit put on the calendar.
Could well be, could well be. Also bear in mind that as we go to round 5, the cars will completely change. We head to our prototype cars, and there we could see a very different pecking order. Different cars suit different drivers, different tracks of course suit different drivers as well. But Michael Schmidl has had the rule of the roost into GT3 cars. We will see if he is able to continue that dominance in the prototypes when we go to round 5. However, right now, we continue to enjoy this incredible battle. Stefanko, oh, Blazek was a little bit late with that defense. Stefanko does give a bit of a whack to the back of the Legion car. That was the best opportunity Stefanko's had. He couldn't quite get alongside, and yet again staying so close to Michael Blazek. And look at this, that is Hanzek battling against Dolezal. Dolezal hasn't wasted any time once he got past Kostulik in that rather impressive move heading down to turn 6 a couple of laps back. He is straight away on Jaroslav Hanzek. So that second plus car has got another victim inside. Back up to this battle then for second position. And Hlebets is right there in that battle as well. Stefanko is stuck right in between that champion, and there he is in the Auser Gaming car, and not too far back is Polesny, as previously mentioned. There he is in the Predator Blue. So this battle is going to intensify yet again. One mistake is going to be very, very costly for any of these drivers.
Yeah, without question. And in fact, now I'm starting to think I think Dolezal is going to make me eat my words, because I wasn't sure if he could get involved with this battle up ahead. But if he can clear Hanzek quickly enough and really start pushing, and especially if these guys start battling again, Blazek, Stefanko, Hlebets, Polesny, these guys are in very close proximity, and Hanzek, Dolezal, Kostulik as well. So if Dolezal right there, he's the one tucked in behind the rear wing of this Thrustmaster car of Jaroslav Hanzek. If he can get past Hanzek in a timely manner, and if the cars ahead start battling, oh, there he goes, he sends one up the inside at turn 2. The Thrustmaster car tries to hold it around the outside, but it looks like the Seiko Plus car might have him at the exit. He leaves him a bit of room at the exit of the corner, but it looks like, yeah, into the braking zone of turn 3, he is going to get the job done. That Seiko Plus car of Peter Dolezal is on fire right now. He is charging through the field. Again, that lap 1 incident sent him pretty far back, but again, he is second in the championship right now, and he is showing us exactly why he is second in the championship right now, because that is an incredible move to take 6th position. And like I said, he's got a big gap up ahead, but then there's 4 cars battling. So if those guys start going side by side, if they start making contact, if they start slowing each other down, that could absolutely bring Dolezal into that battle for 2nd position, and then who knows? I'm not gonna say just yet that Dolezal has a shot at the lead, because holy cow, look at Michael Schmidl go. But I would say he could be a dark horse podium contender here towards the later stages of the race. 17 minutes of racing still to go, plus 1 more lap. And again, Dolezal's pace is just incredible. Oh, here we go again. Stefanko's going to try around the outside of turn 2. The Legion car runs deep. He tries to sneak it up the inside at the exit. It hasn't quite worked out for him. He does manage to keep Hlebets behind for the meantime. But you can tell here, Chris, that Stefanko is getting desperate.
He is indeed. There may well still be a fair bit of time on the board, but that lead by Schmidl is very comfortable as well. We are looking at this particular battle, and yet again, look at Stefanko. He is trying everywhere to keep the pressure on that Legion car. And the drivers, I mean, you can see in this graphic below how focused they are. Their faces haven't moved since they started the race.
Oh, he moved.
oh, there we go. He afforded himself a little moment there. Yet again, look how close they are. And bearing in mind, Stefanko cannot just ignore the fact that Chlebitz is right behind him. And Chlebitz can't really ignore the fact that Polesny is there as well. But Stefanko just wants to deal with Blasek, but it does have to beg the question, if Stefanko did clear Blasek, would he be able to get away? We've seen just how well Blasek can defend, for one, but the traction he's getting out of the corners is pretty impressive in that Legion car. It does beg the question, would Stefanko be able to run away into the distance? Well, at this point, we're not being allowed to find out. Blasek is hanging on for everything he's possibly got. And look again, he's had to defend that inside line. And Schlebick was getting very, very interested in that inside line as well. That door got very firmly shut in his face by Stefanko. 15 and a bit minutes to go, and what a battle we have got. And exactly as you were saying earlier, Peter Dolezal, don't count him out. He is really pressing on to catch this pack, and you would, wow, what a slide by Polesny. That was very well held. He's decided to take his car rally crossing. And you can't discount Dolezal. We've seen how well he's been passing cars already, and you know, all of these drivers are fantastic caliber. If Dolezal does catch this pack, it's not impossible to think that he will start to make his way through it.
Yeah, and again, with these guys battling, I'm just going to keep an eye on that gap. Again, it's about 8 seconds, depending on what part of the circuit they're on, but it's about 8 seconds down to Dolezal, but again, I don't think he's out of this just yet. I mean, look how tight it is. 3 cars, I think, separated by about 8 car lengths, maybe or even 5 car lengths. It's very, very close as they make their way through the penultimate corner on the run down towards the final corner now. Let's see if Martin Stefanko can get a good enough run out of this all-important turn 11 to mount a challenge into turn 2 and maybe try to get something up the inside, because again, it has just not worked. He has tried time and time again to go around the outside of the Andretti hairpin, and here he goes once again. And I think the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and expecting different results, and that's exactly what's going on with Stefanko. But what other option does he have, Chris? Again, overtaking locations are very limited at this circuit, which is why we're seeing people trying to overtake on the run down towards turn 6, as we saw earlier. For example, you know, Dolezal had to get a bit creative, and it looks like Stefanko might have to do that too.
Absolutely, and Stefanko is hoping to get a mistake from that Legion car. That really is his best chance of trying to get through into that second position. This is the view from Michael Schmidl. He can pretty much just pull over and have a coffee at this point. He is enjoying just being unchallenged yet again. And I don't mean that disingenuously to all the rest of our drivers. We know how good they are. Their names speak for themselves. We've seen some incredible racing from all of them. And Michael Schmidl is just in a league of his own at the moment. There he is. No one anywhere near him at this point in time.
Right, and that's how he's able to pull away. And again, you know, we're not trying to say anything bad about the other drivers. It's really because he broke away at the beginning, and he's not involved in this mess right here. if he had, for example, if Blasek or Stefanko, who started alongside him, had challenged him into turn 1 or 2, then things might be very different at this stage of the race. But because Michael Schmidl has the pace that he does, and because he has the free air, because he's unchallenged up at the front, he's really just able to make use of those tires and everything. Holy cow, Polesny trying one on Chlebitz. He tried to go around the outside, same as Stefanko. I think he'll probably know that that is not likely to work. And it's just because, Chris, that hairpin, that Andretti hairpin, is just so long. It just goes on and on. It feels like you're turning forever. It's almost like a tighter version of Luffield at Silverstone. It's just such a long corner. You're just sitting there holding the wheel left for about 5 seconds or so. And so it's so difficult to hold it around the outside. I think it's almost more than 180 degrees even, because you're kind of coming back in on yourself a little bit. So it's a very, very difficult corner to make it around around the outside of. So, you know, I don't blame Stefanko. Oh, here is his moment, though, as Blazek has gone very deep. He's completely missed the corkscrew. Hlebets, as well in the Alza Gaming car, is going to try and make a position up there if he can, but it hasn't quite worked out for him. He wasn't able to pull alongside into the left-hander of turn 9, and he is going to have to sit behind as Martin Stefanko gains second position. Oh, he tries it up the inside, though, on the Legion car. Wow, I did not see that one coming, and I don't think Michael Blazek did either, as he rubs his face, thinking, oh gosh, I think I'm gonna have to defend a little harder. He's spent the entire race defending from Stefanko, but now he's got a whole different personality to try and defend from, and I think Hlebets might surprise him a little bit, as he already has. So we'll see if Hlebets is able to make that move any quicker than Stefanko was, but you can see Stefanko already with that gap. He's immediately onto the Schmidl level pace.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We were looking to see whether Stefanko could start to run away from Blazek, and that question has finally been answered. Blazek, of course, is defending, as we've already seen from Slebets, as Polesny, I think, was a little bit late in his brakes, though. He was getting a little bit too close to the Alza Gaming car there.
Yeah.
But that all started the lap before, where Hlebets was having to defend from Polesny. Well, that gave Martin Stefanko that little bit of breathing space to just put that extra bit of pressure on, and finally the Legion car made that one error. Exactly as I said before, one error is going to be costly. It's now going to be down to Blazek to find his rhythm again, and it's so easy to not so much mentally switch off, but to struggle to get back into the rhythm. Oh my goodness me, one mistake again. Can Polesny defend, and the Slippers defend rather, and Polesny's gone on the outside, but Slipper is not done yet, but he couldn't get the drive. Wow, again, what a great drive Polesny had to steal that fourth position. Hlebets is not done though. Now going to go for an outside move around turn 1. We've seen quite a few attempts at this particular move, and no, he's not going to get it that time. All eyes are still on Blazek, though. He wants to try and close down Stefanko. It's going to be a very hard job, unless, of course, Martin Stefanko makes a mistake that's going to allow them to close up again.
Yeah, and it looked like Hlebets there as well, actually using his rear diffuser to maybe do a bit of gardening out off the circuit as he was coming out of turn 2 on the run down towards turn 3, just letting the car run out a little bit wide. Missing the apex is Polesny, actually, through the left-hander of turn 5, but that hasn't really put Hlebets onto the back of him at all, as we can now see Blazek has actually started to break away. So this battling between Polesny and Hlebets has actually given a little bit of breathing space to Blazek, who again, remember, is 3rd in the championship. Just in case those of you forget, oh yeah, Hlebets pulls a Blazek, but not quite as badly, and he doesn't lose any positions as a result of that. He is going to lose some time now, though, however, to Polesny up ahead. It's now just over 1 second between the two of them, and here comes Stefanko through the final corner, and just under 9 minutes to go, plus 1 lap in this race at Laguna Seca. The Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2018 season is as unpredictable as it has been all season long. But Stefanko, his pace was a little bit predictable. As we said, we expected him to pull away a little bit, as looks like Blazek went deep there into turn 2. I don't think he's going to lose any major time to Polesny there, but it's just interesting how all 4 of these guys really closed up on one another, and now they're just all starting to spread apart. So it's interesting how that worked out. Let's take a look back at some of the further back guys. So Kostulik, Zubek, Sikora, Prohaska, Lucas, these guys have had dreadful races. And to be honest, Chris, this was more kind of what I was expecting from Macau rather than from Laguna Seca. In a lot of ways, Laguna Seca has been weirder than Macau was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's where, because the drivers were a little bit more cautious around the streets of Macau for very obvious reasons.
Good point.
Now we're seeing much more aggressive moves, and some of them have clearly not come off. That much we know. And this man is just untouchable at the moment. We'll see if Stefanko is able to do anything against the lead of Michael Schmidl. But exactly as we said about 5 or 6 laps ago, look at Dolajol. He's within 5 seconds. We were actually just started, and there he is. You've just seen him at the back of the shot.
There he is, yeah.
And Andre Klebitz will know he's there. So he's obviously not in an attacking position now, but that gap was 10 seconds at least when he managed to clear Jaroslav Honzik. So he has closed that all down. He can now see very much the next few positions, and again, exactly as you were saying earlier, Justin, he has a championship position to defend, and he's got quite a few cars. If he...
Yes.
He's managed to close this gap down. We know he's able to get his elbows out when he needs to. So these guys are going to have a real hard time keeping that second-class car behind them.
Yeah, and that gap is continuing to close down, actually. I don't know if Klebets has any sort of damage or if he's maybe just lost confidence in himself. I mean, a lot of spectators, if you're not a racer or a sim racer, one thing that people don't really think about when it comes to racing is the mental game, and that works in sport in general. You know, you can get inside your own head. You can allow other people to get inside your head, and that may be what's going on with Klebets, because he was keeping up with that pack of Stefanko, Blazek, and Polesny. In fact, he was ahead of Polesny at one point until he made that mistake coming out of this corner here, and that allowed Polesny to grab that fourth place position. So Klebets could very quickly come under attack from Peter Dolezel, and again, as we've said, Dolezel with the more important championship position at the moment. With 31 points to his name at the moment. He's looking to improve on that. Now, it is looking like Michael Schmidl is going to extend his gap up at the front. As you can see, Blazek using all of the circuit to get as much of a good run through that turn 2 hairpin as he possibly can. On board with Martin Stefanko. Last lap, 22.5 for Stefanko. For Schmidl, a 22.9. Now, there is only 5 minutes remaining in this race, and the gap is over 10 seconds between these two extremely talented drivers. And with only about, you know, a few tenths in the lap difference, I really just don't see how Stefanko could possibly close up on Michael Schmidl in the closing stages of this race unless he makes some sort of catastrophic mistake, which is just not something we expect to see from Michael Schmidl. Again, he was the man that was leading the 2017 championship right up until the end at Suzuka, where the man on the right side of your screen, Martin Stefanko, he was able to clinch that victory right at the end of it. But Michael Schmidl, again, he was the #1 contender all throughout 2017. He is the current championship leader with 51 out of 52 possible points. And in fact, the man that took that 1 point away from him, Chris, is that man right there, Peter Dolezel, who got fastest lap at one of the races and denied Michael Schmidl that perfect 52 out of 52 points.
It was Imola that Dolezel stole that 1 point away. But yeah, again, look at the time difference now, just shy of 3 seconds as they come over the line. And again, Klebets will be aware that he's got someone really closing in on him, and that, of course, is Dolezel as mentioned. So he is trying his best to attack and get close to Polesny, but that gap is just too long. He's not able to really try and get away from Dolezel. He's got too much of a gap between himself and Polesny.
Yep, and Polesny is, he's not had the best race, but it has improved as the race has gone on. Again, he does now find himself in 4th position behind Blazek, who is, again, 3rd in the championship as it stands right now. And Polesny would love to take some points off of that Legion car if he can. Just over 3.5 minutes remaining until the final lap of this race is about to start. And I just wanted to say a quick shout out to the pitcrewonline.net, who is one of our sponsors. So make sure you guys check out the pitcrewonline.net as we are coming right to the end of this race here at Laguna Seca, and very intriguingly keeping an eye on Polesny to see what he can make happen against Michael Blazek, who was holding on to 2nd place in this race for the longest time until Martin Stefanko was able to capitalize on a mistake into the corkscrew, and that allowed him to move up into P2. And he has been consistently faster than Schmidl ever since then. However, again, just not enough time in this race. I don't see how Schmidl could possibly come under any sort of contention. Into turn 2, they go for Polesny and Blazek once again, and Polesny not quite able to pull alongside or get close enough to even really think about trying a move. But Klebets continuing to drop off a little bit, and again, the other guy that we're keeping an eye on, Peter Dolezel, in 6th position. So really, Dolezel and Polesny, they're the two that we want to keep our eyes on, because they're the ones with the most to gain in the closing stages of this race.
Also, bearing in mind that Martin Stefanko has not had a particularly good start to his championship defense, and this is crucial to helping him really start to claw up the field a little bit more. Here is the driver of the day from last race, Thomas Prohaska. He is, I think it's fair to say, this track has not suited him particularly well at all. He finds himself a long way down, so nearly 20 seconds behind Jan Sikora in the Lynx car. This man, however, has had a lot to do and continues to press on. Polesny is still trying to attack Michael Blazek for that last podium spot. It's going to be difficult to do. Less than a second separates the two, but there's not a lot of time left for the Predator Blue car to do anything against the Legion car.
Yep, and I think Schmidl is going to, he is going to come around one more time, and then he's going to do one more after that, and then have one more lap. So after this lap, I believe there is going to be 2 more laps in this race, as Michael Schmidl is going to come to the end of this one and still have some time on the clock, I do believe. But Polesny continuing to close in on Michael Blazek. Again, that Legion car has been holding on to podium positions throughout this entire race, since the very start. Since he jumped to Martin Stefanko, even when he lost the position to Martin Stefanko, he's been in the podium positions this entire time. However, Polesny is looking to change that to relegate him down into 4th position and grab those 3 extra points. That's the thing. This is for a podium and also for 3 extra points as well too. So of course Polesny is going to be highly motivated to try and get by as Michael Schmidl makes his way through the penultimate corner, through that very high-speed right-hander and into the left-hander of the final corner. And as I predicted, he will cross the line with some time left on the board. So he'll come around one more time and then have one more lap to complete. So we have 2 more laps of racing still to go after these guys finish this one. And we could see the Predator Blue car making his way through that penultimate corner, very close to the Legion car. This seems closer than it has ever been. Meanwhile, in the background there, you can see the Seco Plus car of Dolezal getting very, very close to Klebitz as well. Somebody we haven't talked about in a while is Hanzik, who has really kind of been in no man's land with a big gap behind Akashulik, big gap ahead to Dolezal. Just really doesn't seem to be on the pace here in Laguna Seca. Wow, heavy braking zone for the Predator Blue car of Polesny as he got very, very close to the back end of that Legion car, but it didn't, thankfully, no contact, no damage for either of those drivers. They're able to continue on, but I'm going to go ahead and put you on the spot here, Chris. Do you think Polesny can do it?
Oh, it's going to be... I don't think he will. I think Michael Blazek has proven that he's got such incredible defensive prowess. It was a mistake from Blazek that allowed Stefanko through. And Stefanko's nearly opened up 10 seconds over the 3rd place Legion car. So as long as Blazek keeps it on the black stuff, I don't think Polesny is going to find a way through. Again, not meaning that to sound disingenuous. It's just Blazek is such an incredible defensive driver. I don't reckon he's going to be able to do it. Although Polesny, I'm sure, will happily accept that 4th position. That 5th place, though, from Schlebeck is under a great deal of pressure from that Seco Plus of Peter Dolezal. He has managed to close that gap right the way down. He is in striking range, but he only has 1 lap left to get that position.
Yeah, and this is what we want to watch here as the final lap has begun. White flag out this time by for the Legion car and the Predator Blue car in 3rd and 4th positions, respectively, as they cross that start-finish line now. And this is the final lap, so his final attempts, just 11 corners, now 10 corners separating these guys from their final finishing positions in this race. And here comes Dolezal around the outside on the Alza Gaming car. I assume that is not going to work, and indeed it has not quite worked out for him. He is pushing Klebitz through into turn 3, though, and you can see Klebitz going very defensive as well. That's going to allow him to carry even more speed, is Dolezal, through that corner. But again, a very short run down towards turn 4, so really not able to make anything happen there. But the Alza Gaming car runs wide. Here comes the Seco Plus car. He'll have the outside line for turn 5. If he can brake later, he might be able to take the position, but Klebitz very late on the brakes. You can see them glowing as he switches over to the inside line. He'll now have that inside line for turn 6 and the run towards the corkscrew. This is all important for Dolezal, and it looks like he's done it. He's made the move on Klebitz to take that P5 on the final lap of this race. What an incredible recovery drive from Peter Dolezal, who again, 2nd in the championship standings. I don't know if he's going to be 2nd anymore after this result, with Blazek finishing in 3rd position, but Schmidl is going to cross the line to pick up his 3rd win out of 3. Martin Stefanko is going to be on the podium, I think, for the first time in the 2018 season of the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP. And here comes Michael Blazek in 3rd position with Polesny in hot pursuit as they cross the line, but it is going to be the Legion car that claims that final podium position. Polesny in 4th, Dolezal in 5th with that last lap maneuver on Klebitz. Hanzik way off the pace in 7th position. I don't think he had any sort of mistakes. There comes Jaroslav Hanzik now, and I think that may just be a case of a driver not feeling comfortable with the circuit. I don't know how much experience he has around Laguna Seca, but there goes the Xiaomi Geek car of Kostulik, who again was involved in those midfield battles, but it seems just didn't quite have the pace to keep up with them. Zubek is going to come home in 9th position. Not been a great season for the Avast driver, and Sikora will claim the final points-paying position in 10th, with Prohaska and Lucas in the red cars outside the top 10 in 11th and 12th. But again, Prohaska, a talented, fast driver who got driver of the day last time out in Macau. He's very, very quick, and he just had that incident early on, as did Lucas. So, you know, this is not representative of what we can expect from them for the rest of the season. As you can see, Jaroslav Hanzik wiping himself down, because understandably, he's probably pretty sweaty. I'm even sweaty, and I was only doing the commentary.
Absolutely, that has got to be a pretty hard-fought race then for our top three. I'm sure Michael Schmidl probably enjoyed it more than some of the others, but what an incredible run we see from our drivers. An amazing recovery drive by Peter Dolachol in the Seca Plus car. Didn't go everybody's way, of course. There are always winners and losers in this routine.
Yep, and so, yeah, these are the final standings. Schmidl, again, confirmed, and he gets the fastest lap as well. So it is actually going to be 77, I believe, out of a possible 78 points for Michael Schmidl, though. Stefanko returns to the podium with Blazek another third. If I'm not mistaken, that's his third place. I think he's gotten third in every single race. Polesny fourth, Dolajal fifth, Klebets in sixth, and the rest of the drivers there. And these are the standings. So yeah, it is a 77 out of a possible 78 points for Michael Schmidl. Who can stop this man, Chris?
It's going to take an amazing effort by our drivers to bring Schmidl down, but we will see as the season continues. Blazek 2, Dolajal 3, Polesny 4, Stefanko up to 5th position with that podium finish. He just had Klebik and Hanzik 6 and 7, Sikora, Kostovic, Prohaska, Zubik and Lucas around our top position.
I think, you know, it's great to have a third win in a row. It's a good start to the season, but, you know, I was expecting Martin that he's going to be fast in the race, but, you know, unfortunately for him, he was stuck behind Michael Blazek. So I think he was pretty quick in the qualifying, but especially in the race, I think he had a better setup today. So we need to look at it and made some improvements, you know, to the Brands Hatch.
Well, since I have the championship from last year, you always expect or you want to win again. So obviously I'm happy with the podium, to be back on the podium. It's nice to be on P2, especially after the start when I had a big wheel spin off the line. So I lost the position to Blazek and I was third. So yeah, then it was hard to overtake him, very hard. And I was just waiting for him to do one single mistake to use that as an opportunity, and it happened. So managed to get into P2, and in the last 10 laps, or the last 10 minutes, not last 10 laps, but last 10 minutes, I managed to close the gap to Schmidl by 3 seconds. So there are a lot of positives that I can take from this race onto Brands Hatch. Yeah, it seems like I'm very unlucky this year, so hopefully I can break it. Hopefully start fighting for the wins, because that's what I'm here for.
And I'll translate for Michael Blazek. He says, I made a completely unnecessary mistake today just when Martin was pushing hard, but that happens in racing. I had a bad exit from a corner, and then I wanted to brake later into the corkscrew. Unfortunately, I started to brake just when my car went over the horizon, so the car couldn't slow down and went straight through. Of course, I'd like to be on the podium at Brands Hatch, but it's hard to say. These guys are fast. And these guys are fast indeed, but as is Michael Blazek, again claiming another podium position in the 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP season. But it is, in fact, Michael Schmidl who picks up a third win out of 3. Thank you so much for joining me, Chris.
A great pleasure, as always, to be alongside you, Justin, and what incredible racing we've seen yet again by our competitors in the Virtual GP. And it is over to my soil next time for Brands Hatch.
Yep, we will see you guys next time for the race from Brands Hatch. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.